I ended part 1 letting you all know that I had forgiven my wife. I really did, guys. She disappeared and abandoned me when I was at my lowest. Shame covered me and my family, but I still did. That's the only way I knew to love. I loved her by the book, the way the Lord loves. It was a patient love. I loved her through misunderstandings, and I suffered long through them. Yes, and I made the choice to love her even more. I intentionally chose to forget everything, and she had no conditions to abide by. You see, some people look over the fence and sees the grass greener on the other side, and they start wanting or coveting what they perceive to be better. But I was and still am of the mindset that if my grass is parched and yellow, it's my grass. If my wife treats me and says things sometimes, it's my grass. If on the day I'm fasting is when she decides to prepare something for me to eat, and when I don't, she ends up swearing she won't prepare things for me anymore, it's my grass. I found that loving this way is so liberating. Truly, it is liberating, guys. And I tell you, it's amazing. Yeah, you'll find those that will mock you and call you all kinds of names for loving selflessly, but they'll never know how free you feel. Almost the same as when you're obeying God when He tells you to do something. Of course, it doesn't come close because it doesn't give the same peace, but you definitely feel free. You have nothing to hide on your phone, no conversation you need to delete. You're just free. She was grateful. Oh, so grateful. She got pregnant right away, so fast that it arose suspicions with everyone, causing them to question if the baby was mine. A thought that never even crossed my mind until the very day the lead pastor took me aside to ask me if I was sure that the baby was mine. I had no doubts, so therefore I answered him accordingly. And when my son was born, every mouth was silenced, because he was and still is mini me. Well, maybe I'm stretching it, because I'm not half as cute as he is. A few months after he was born, the derogative comments came back. I was being called all kinds of names, and the behaviors that preceded her disappearance also came back. The feeling of not being good enough was the underlining of every interaction with her. All I cared about was going to work, pay for the bills, and spend time with my family. But that was not good enough. No matter what I did, I needed to do more. Maybe she wanted a bit more security to secure a future for our son, but in the process, she was destroying me as a man. And the thought hit me, and I was absolutely certain that she was going to leave me again. Fear enveloped me like a sleeping bag, and I didn't know what to do. I always believed that if you ever do something once, you'll most probably do it again. Therefore, the thought haunted me to the point where I started drinking again like crazy. And this time, I took it out of the park. I was always drinking, which means I was always drunk. I ended up drinking with the wrong person, who started telling me how much of an amazing man I was, that she had been listening to me talk to the managers and supervisors, and how smart I was. Things I was never being told at home. And since I was deep down looking for a way out of my misery, it didn't seem like a bad idea at the time to leave my wife first, move on to someone that appreciated me. And so, one thing led to the other, and I cheated on her. It might seem like an excuse to some of you. Yeah, I know. It seems like it to me right now. But I begun to hate myself. I begun to lose myself. My drinking went to a whole other level because I used to take pride in being of the very few men in a conversation that never cheated on his wife. Many times the only one. And I could no longer claim that. I was the faithful one, the one everyone used as an example, and I lost that. My being the faithful one was my identity in some ways, the only value I had in my own eyes. I wasn't good enough at anything else, remember? And so I began to hate her for loving me so little. And so I started making plans, wanting to leave her. I was in a dark, ugly pit of despair. No value, no identity, and feeling worthless. But God in His goodness came to set me free. I later learned that she fasted long for me to leave the drinking, and that's exactly what happened. First, the Lord made me understand that I couldn't leave my family. He made me stop drinking. Then He manifested Himself to me. He came and hugged me, guys. I don't know many people that can say that. Jesus hugged me in real life. And that's when I truly became a true believer, when I truly gave my life to Him. I repented and I redoubled my commitment to my wife, loving her unconditionally. But this time, I no longer was seeking her approval for everything. Instead, I was seeking to hear Jesus. Because He touched me, I was convinced that He was speaking to someone, and that's how I found the Still Small Voice channel on YouTube. And wanting to make sure that I was not being deceived, I started looking for witnesses to confirm every word given to Mother Claire. So I started looking for others, and I found a channel called The Fellowship of the Martyrs with Uncle Doug Perry, whom the Lord spoke to clearly. Another channel was Lord's Lessons from a brother and sister whom received messages from the Lord. And of course, Mother Elisha's channel. That was around 2015, about 7 years ago. That's how I became a heart dweller. Doug Perry said something that stayed with me. He said, if you've abandoned your life to Christ and you still have your wife and family, God bless you. He said that with tears in his eyes because he had a business, was married with 2 little girls, and he lost everything. Now I know why I never forgot. During all those years, I was growing closer to the Lord, but my wife was growing colder towards me. I would from time to time resort to conversating with people about the Lord just to have someone to talk to about those things because I felt that my wife was not interested. We had our second son and things were just moving along. And when COVID started, we moved to New Jersey. She started working for the city. I started working 7 days a week in order to be of value to her, because I was feeling that she was losing all interest in me. And one day, just to confirm my feelings, I asked her if she wouldn't rather that I be home instead of at work on Sundays, and she said she'd rather the money. It got really hard for me, but I did what I knew to do best. I redoubled even more in my love for her, ignoring the comments. I can't say I was a saint, guys. She had reasons sometimes to make me feel that I was worthless. I never finished anything I started. I started medicine and I didn't finish. I started accounting and I didn't finish. I started to learn to do taxes and I didn't finish. I started a security training and didn't finish. And the last thing I started was nursing. And of course, I didn't finish. By the beginning of 2021, she had 3 degrees and a master's degree in clinical psychology, and I had nothing. I wasn't good enough, even worthless to her. But what baffled me is that I was the one she would come to when she didn't understand something. Yep, even for her homeworks. But anyways, by the beginning of the year of 2021, she seemed completely sick of me. So I went to the Lord, asking him to show me what was going on. But I didn't expect what he was going to say and what he was going to ask me to do. He wanted me to confess what I did when I cheated on her. And I was like, no, that woman is not in any condition to receive a confession like that. So I didn't do it. About 2 months later, we were driving from New York, and I asked her, baby, what am I good at? She took a second and said, well, when you want to, you can clean real good. And I was like, what? Wait. What am I good at, regardless of the conditions? And she said, nothing. You're good at nothing. And that's when I knew that she had no respect for me as a man, and much less as her husband. And again, I went to the Lord, and this time he said, she's going to leave you. She hasn't because she can't find a reason. So I want you to confess to her what you did. If you don't, when she leaves, she will never come back. You will lose your family. But if you do, I promise you that I will bring her back. I will destroy the current foundation of your relationship, and I will make it anew. I will make it a holy one. Man, I was so scared in doing it that when I did it, it was hardly a confession. I think I even blamed her. But that's all she needed to get a divorce. She divorced me saying that the Lord will understand, because although she had known that I did that, but that I had disrespected her when I came and told her that again, and that the Bible says if your spouse has relationships outside of the marriage, you are able to divorce them. And the worst nightmare of my life began. The Lord is always right. She was only waiting for a reason. She got divorce papers in front of me 2 weeks later. And when I wanted to take a couple of days before signing it, she made sure I did in that very moment. She said to me she wasted 12 years of her life with me, and that she's not willing to waste another second. And that if I didn't do it now for free, I would do it anyways, and that it would cost me greatly. Her words, the way she said them, with the passion that she employed to say them, those words sunk so deep that my hands just signed the paper. Guys, I thought this would have taken a few months to sort itself out, because the Lord said that she would bring her back. It's been now over a year. She even married another man, and is asking my boys to call me by my name and to call the dude Daddy. I don't want the promise anymore, guys, but I'm holding on just because the Lord told me to do so. He later revealed that he is teaching me to love like him, the Hosea type of love, because she will come back, and that she will be a holy woman and a holy wife. Guys, I don't know how to want or pray for a woman that married another man, but the Lord says that she is still my wife, and to pray for my wife. He said I would seek to feel miserable, but I wouldn't be able to. And it's true. He is right again, because I haven't been able to remain in self-pity for more than one night or moment. I always stay at the beginning stages of that feeling. What a promise. Supposedly I'll be the most joyful and most accomplished and happy husband that I wouldn't have ever dreamt to be. And that souls are piling up in heaven because of my sufferings. But I don't know how to want this, guys. I don't know how to want the promise. Please pray for me. Well, I remember months later, after I went to see her, and I told her, babe, I remember asking you if I was good at anything, and you said nothing. I want you to know that even animals are good at something. That people that have pets, they say, oh, this dog is so good at doing this or that. To say that I'm good at nothing is a lie. You put me lower than an animal, and then I walked away. But she followed me. She followed me and she turned me around and she said, "You are good at something." And when I heard that, I tightened my butt cheeks because I was expecting the biggest blow, the biggest hit of my life. The biggest blow, the lowest blow. I don't know what I was waiting for, but I was like tightening my cheeks, tightening everything, waiting for it. And then she said it. She said, "You have always been good at loving me." Man, of all the things she could have chosen to say, she said that. And when she saw my face, she said, "Yeah, I know. You're probably gonna say that love is not enough for me and that and this and that." And I'm like, wow, you could have said anything and you chose to say that. You have no idea what you're saying. If I was always good at loving you, it means that I've done everything right. But hey, who am I? Anyways, boys and girls, I do not know how to want this promise. I do not know how to desire it. I do not know how to pray for it. I do not know how to be patient like Abraham was patient. I do not know how to be patient like Noah was patient. I do not know how to be patient like Job was patient because I don't want this. I don't want it. I don't want a woman that married another man. But she is my wife, the Lord said. So pray for me. So this is basically the gist of the whole thing, and the messages that the Lord has given me will follow. May God bless you and keep you always.